Good morning. I want to tell you about a tradition that we have here in Sweden. On the 13th of December, we celebrate an Italian lady who died hundreds and hundreds of years ago. Her name is Saint Lucia. Makes sense, doesn't it? And this is all over the country. It's been around for as long as I know. So you see it in the kindergartens, in the schools, on TV, in the cities, you know. And it's this, you have a good-looking lady, usually, dressed in white. She's got candles in her hair, and she's called Lucia. And then there's more ladies, also dressed in white, and they walk around and they sing. And then you also have this. Some dress up as gingerbreads. Makes sense, doesn't it? Some dress up as elves. This is mostly in the kindergartens and the schools. This is happening. And some you see these guys with a stick, with a star. You know? So it's huge, right? Now Sweden is changing. Here's an example of this. School up in Umeå, this is a town up north, they skipped this thing altogether. Why? Because of Muslim children. The Muslim children dropped out last year because their parents didn't like it. It was related to Christmas. So the solution was to skip the whole thing. Right, Sweden is changing in so many ways. Right. Now, I've been reading comments on yesterday's video. Thank you for the comments. I've been reading hundreds and hundreds of them because it was fascinating. And there are two things that I want to mention. Number one, this is what I see. Number one, tea drinkers, they don't want to talk about it anymore. They are going silent about this whole thing. This is what came up in the comments. Lots of it. Yeah, they don't want to know about it. You know, this is why it gets so tense when you talk to them about this thing. Because they don't want to know. I mean, they took it to get healthy and not to die, right? And now, what happens to people who took it? So they don't want to know what's now in their bodies. That's number one. And the second one is this. Many of you, including myself actually, more or less stopped talking about it to people, to the tea drinkers, because it seems to be useless. Right, and I totally understand this. I did it myself. It's more or less useless. And they don't want to hear it. You know? So that's the thing. I have an example of this. Elton John, right? He left Twitter, and this is what he said. All my life I tried to use music to bring people together, yet it saddens me to see how misinformation is now being used to divide our world. I strongly suspect that this is the problem. He doesn't want to hear. And if he's on Twitter today, he will hear about it. Right. And he calls it misinformation. He just doesn't want to know about it. See? He's been promoting it. He took it. Now subconsciously he starts to understand. He doesn't want to hear anything about it. So he's leaving. That's what I think is going on. Now they have problems, of course, explaining what's happening to the tea drinkers. Like a long Cupid, right? Long Cupid. Why is it that the tea drinkers suffer from long Cupid? And they see this, right? All these purebloods, they don't get it. So how do we explain this thing? And one thing they do is they come up with new strains. Right? I heard about this one. XBB. It's a new strain, right? And, you know, media in Asia, they call it the nightmare strain. They want some good names for it, right? The nightmare strain. So why is it a nightmare? Well, because it appears to hit those who are protected. And it's spreading fast. It's a nightmare. There's only one nightmare here. The nightmare is that you mess up people's immune system. That's what you did. That's the nightmare. All right. Be good.